I had an opportunity to meet someone who is all about joy here at Power Rising. Her name is Bose Akadiri, and she's an author of a new book coming out in a week called The Stay Joyful Method. Look forward to this joyful conversation. I am so excited to welcome you to your first Sunday Brunch with Higher Heights. This is Bose Akadiri, and she has a new book coming out called The Stay Joyful Method, using joy as a tool to rise, lead, and refine success. Look at this book, it's so pretty. So welcome.
Thank you, Glynda. I am so happy to be here today. It's an honor to know you and to sit down for Sunday brunch.
Yeah. And what I love is we are like mobile. We're at the Power Rising conference here in Chicago. So one, it says rise in your subtitle. And what I love about the power of Black women who lead is that we ran into each other talking about a session that I led, and we ended on joy. And I think you would agree that is some tough times, and being in practice around what does joyful life and abundance look like. So share a little bit with our Sunday brunchers who you are.
Yes. Okay. So, Glynda, again, of course, you said my name is Bose Akadiri, but I like to think of myself as the joy amplifier because I really work to help people not only understand and recognize their own joy, but recognize it as a powerful tool that they can use in life. So how can they use it as they develop their goals and clarify who they are? How can they use it as they're building their circle of trusted influence around them? And how can they use it as they lead, whether they're leading in name a team or if they are leading in their birthright? And so to me, joy is the most powerful source that you can tap into. And when I think back in the book I mentioned, Toy Derricott talked about joy as one of the greatest forms of resistance. And joy is something that is actively sometimes being trying to taken away from us. And how can we stand in our joy and understand it and reclaim it every day?
And what I love about, and I'm going to let you use your book to share this, that for Black women to really stand in our full power, it is also understanding the complexity of the intersection of all things. Yes. And so one, let's start with, you come from corporate America, you've stepped out in like joyful resistance or joyful like risk, to not only pen a book for a time as this. So share a little bit about your background.
Okay, so yes, I come from big corporate and I had a good time there, but now this is where I'm supposed to be. And when I was in corporate, I led corporate social responsibility, which is the philanthropic arm. So I was constantly leading programs where we were doing things in community, and my time doing that, I really enjoyed it. But I had a lot of people asking me, how did you get here, right? So I'm in Chicago now, but I'm an Oklahoma girl at heart. Yes, and I moved here, no job and no network, but I knew exactly what I wanted to do, and I was led by my joy. A lot of people questioned my thoughts and my decisions around this, but I knew exactly what was going to bring me more joy in life, and I went after it. And so my corporate career, going from Boeing to Salesforce and JP Morgan, getting to do this really impactful work and building my network and my community around that work is actually what empowered me to be able to do what I'm doing now.
And share a little bit about the intersectionality of your approach, and the reason why you pick. You can probably share what the symbol is.
Yes.
Because Black women, sometimes we walk around not being able to be our full selves. And to actually, to me, joy is one of the things I'm leaning into, and that you have to really understand how it connects, that it's not joy. I'm assuming you're the method is joy is not necessarily sustainable. It's like, it goes through ebbs and flows.
Oh, it definitely does, right? And that's something I really like to talk about in the book, because I think folks, they might look at you or look at me and say, everything's perfect, everything's glossed over. But we're not. We're learning and growing each day. So in the book, there's 4 key areas: personal, professional, health, financial. And that's why the symbol is 4-part. And I really like to emphasize that as women, as Black women, we should look at ourselves holistically. And so we are having those 4 key areas work synergetically together instead of working against each other. Because if you're looking at your life in those areas and you understand maybe you have a certain financial goal that you're trying to get to, That means you might have to make sacrifices in your personal life to get to that goal. Or that also means in your professional life, maybe you need to get a different job because that is not supporting and in alignment with your financial goal. So rather than thinking your finances are over here, thinking your professional life's over here, thinking your health is over here, look at them as integrated pieces of you as a whole. That also empowers you to talk to your joy squad, as I call it. Yes, I know, right? The joy squad. You're in my joy squad now. Okay. Come on, come on. And with your joy squad, you have to understand who's in each of those. So when I look at my financial joy squad, I'm talking about my financial advisor. I'm talking about my banker, right? Especially as a business owner, I have to have a really tight relationship with them. They're not the same people in my health squad. My health squad's my acupuncturist, my Ayurvedic medicine doctor, all of the people that support me in there. So when you look at your life holistically, you're able to level up in all areas instead of leaving one behind.
I need. So I just quickly went through this book. So one, share that this is coming out like this week, right? Or in 2 weeks.
April 28th.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so share where we can pre-order or support or immediately go get it. There's an algorithm to move her up in the ability for us to see the awareness of it. Is there an Audible? I need to know all the things on how we can.
Okay, we're on Amazon and very blessed. We hit #1 new release last week, which is huge, #3 in our area. So we're already a bestseller on Amazon, but you can get it there. You can get it at Barnes & Noble. If there's a local bookstore that you want to support, go in there and request it. Also libraries. To me, this book is very important that there's accessibility. And so I want as many people as possible to request it at the library so that others have free access to it. And like you said, it is very important to the book algorithm in the book world. And I'd be remiss if I didn't say, this is not only a book by a Black author, this is also a book with a Black woman publisher.
So in the book, you deep dive into reframing goal setting in a real intentional way. This whole year is about intentionality for me. What does joy-centered goal setting look like in practice?
Great question. So I have a 5-step method, and it really starts with meditation. And by meditation, I mean getting grounded in who you are so that you can expel all of the outside noise. There's so much coming at us every different direction, every single day, that we have to actively work to reject the narratives that are placed upon us. So first, before you set your goal, before you think about where you're going, you need to get centered on yourself by doing something that's meditative and mind clearing to you. Then you journal about your joy. So before you even make the goals, the foundation is get a clear head and then write down anything that brings you joy. I call it your joy bubble.
Oh, that's good.
And after that is when you start to set your goals in those 4 key areas.
I think there's a lot of work to be done in where I'm in quarter 2 of my vision board of living a joyful life, 365 days a year, and more importantly beyond after 5, but through my 9 to 5 to after 5. You cite that employees who experience joy at work are significantly less likely to leave. What are leaders getting it wrong about retention in the workplace?
Ooh, that's a great question. And actually, I cite that in my book, that's directly from a BCG study. And so I have to give them credit. They did the research, but in this book, I included a lot of research on positive psychology and the workplace. And the big thing that employers can be doing is understanding their staff, understanding their team. And so whenever I go into workplaces and do leadership development training, I use a tool called the Individual Joy Blueprint so that it empowers leaders to understand their team. So for example, when I was at Salesforce, I led a global team. So that meant I had people on West Coast time frame, I had myself on Central time zone, and then I had teammates that were in India that were almost 10 hours time frame different from me. I could have assumed when it was good for everyone to meet. I could have been the leader that just said, this is what time we get together. I don't care what anybody thinks. But instead, the approach that I took is I wanted to understand my team, their family, their lifestyle. So specifically, the teammate that was in India, I asked him, do you want to meet morning your time or do you want to meet evening your time? Because whichever it was going to be flip-flop for me. And he actually said he wanted to meet evening his time, which was great for me because that meant it was my morning and I was going to have to stay late. But I actually would have assumed the opposite. And the core reasoning is because he wanted to have time with the employees in India during his day. And then he wanted to come home, be with his wife, go for a run, have dinner, and then get online with us. So if I had made the assumption that he would rather meet in his morning time, I would have disrupted parts of his life. And so as leaders, we need to understand our teams. And the individual joy blueprint helps you do that. You get to know how they like to be recognized. What is the type of work that brings them joy, so that you're matching them with work and their purpose and able to shift your teams in ways that will amplify the work.
So, I mean, one of the things that you talked a little bit about joy in an employee-based joy, right, in a workplace. Let's talk a little bit about, I love the framework on your Joy Squad, but we're also living in a time where we can see a sister who is struggling, and how do we bring them or help them create a Joy Squad? Walk us through the 3 C's: celebrate, share, connect. Which one do you think people are struggling with, and then how can we help not only create that space for ourselves, but how do we actually bring people in who are struggling?
I love that. Okay, celebrate, share, connect. And so celebrate is celebrating our own wins. And I know a lot of us have trouble celebrating our own wins. And the thing is, when we celebrate ourselves, others will too. And that's a really good indicator, if they don't, of who needs to not be in your Joy Squad. Right? If they can't celebrate you, then why are they there? I mean, honestly, I don't have a single friend in my life, even on their hardest day, that couldn't celebrate one of my wins, and vice versa. There have been times where I have really been going through it, and a friend shared some great news. I was cheering for them, which is the second C. Cheer for everyone in your circle, because they need it, they deserve it. And when we feel seen, and when people are uplifting us, we continue to rise. So what I really think we need to be doing, so yeah, celebrate, cheer, and then the third C is the community. That's when that community starts to be formed, because you feel safe sharing. You know that you can say, this went really well, or I'm failing forward, this didn't go so well, and you have those sounding boards. So whenever you see a sister that is struggling, I actually think the exact question you asked on stage today, what brings you joy? Because they might have forgotten. I know I've been there. I've forgotten what brings me joy before, and I needed those sisters around me to ask me, to put a mirror up to me and say, I have seen you in joy. Let's talk about what brings you joy. Let's not talk about all the bad things. We don't need to highlight those.
Yeah. So what is, it looks at, like I said, because this is her editor's version. I'm over here like, she's like, give me my editor version. But you actually have, well, let me also start with, it is in bold, large print, and share a little bit of that. You did that purposeful, like that was for a reason. So share a little bit about why you.
Yes. So I'm of a certain age where I need reading glasses. And when we were making this book, I said, it's very important that the other readers like me are not squinting. You know, I think about all the times when one of my friends sends me a text that says, squint your eyes, get ready. Yeah. And I'm going, well, why did you send me this picture with a tiny print? And so everything that we did with this book was about the reader. And so I saw this page you open it to, the Journeys and Joy. Journeys and Joys are actually case studies. So I've had my business for 6 years now, which means I have had the honor of walking with folks on their journey and joy. So I went back to some of them and I said, I'm building this book, I'm creating this book, and I need people to know it's not about me. It's not, oh, this worked for Bossy, but I don't know if it'll work for me. I needed to have examples. So with every case study in this book, I asked 3 main questions. A, where were you before we worked together? B, what was the big aha moment when we worked together? And C, where are you now? So the journeys and joy in this book are something that I treasure, because they are what I have witnessed these methods doing and impacting and uplifting folks' lives. The other thing that was really important is here is we get overwhelmed. I get overwhelmed, you get overwhelmed, we all get overwhelmed. So in the book, I wanted to have bite-sized pieces. So we call those joy jump starts. At the end of each chapter, there's a 5-minute prompt. It takes just 30 seconds to read and less than 5 minutes to do. And if you don't have time to do anything else that day, but you need a little jolt of joy, you just flip to one of those pages.
Yeah. She already answered my question. Literally, we just met, but we are like,
you're like, what is this?
Like, I already know. And she's like, let me answer this question. So I will, as our time closes, like I said, that you had asked, because she was like, I was like, you're going to sit down for Sunday brunch. She's like, what's Sunday brunch? And I said, it's the, what's great about this community, it is a safe, trusted space that centers Black women, and that it is about engaging Black civic leaders. And we believe that our great grandmother is a civic leader all the way to a Kamala Harris, who we are going to hear from here at Power Rising right before Sunday brunch, and that this is the place where you learn something new, right? I go, this is the Black Girls CBS Sunday Morning, that we're in the right place in the right time to be in a space to know that we need to pick up the Stay Joyful Method by Bose Akadiri. I am cheering for you. I am celebrating you, and I am excited about deep diving in this. And we will probably have you back, and maybe we'll do some prompts next time.
I love it. I will mail you your copy. Don't worry, it's coming in the mail. And I really appreciate you having me. I feel like I also got to learn so much from you, and that's what it's all about.
Great. Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.